Hey, everybody, welcome back to Wasted Attention Podcast, our actual set and content, so you guys should feel really, really lucky.
You did us twice this week.
That's right. Today we got a special episode. We have Mr. Jayce Lewis from Ascension of the Watchers. How you doing, man?
Very well.
We appreciate you joining us. We thought we could talk to you about the new album today.
Cool. Absolutely.
Awesome. So it looks like you're indoors, man. What time is it over there?
Right now it is 5:05 UK time.
Okay.
Getting dark quite early these days, so we're heading into winter.
Unfortunately,
not ready for winter.
You caught us on the American lunch hour. I am in my car, and JD and Evan are at home. So,
It's like a UN meeting.
So I want to jump right into it, man. Apocrypha. Let's talk about the actual album title. Where did you guys get that idea from?
Apocrypha was the title of one of the songs, which originally the album was called Storm Crow, again, which is another song. Burton comes up with all the song titles. He writes like some of the riffs or most of the riffs and a piano piece or whatever, and then he has this lyrical content which he has in this notebook that he carries with him everywhere, and he just jots down things. So but while we were recording the album, we were the whole album was steering towards a particular sound and dynamic and all of that. So it became quite obvious that when I started mixing the album, that Storm Crow just really wasn't representing what the album was about anymore. So we ended up choosing Apocrypha.
That's excellent. And it's really interesting that you kind of jumped in there with Burton's notebook. Is he kind of the driving force behind your actual songwriting process? Is it all three of you combined?
Well, for this album, Burton had already written a lot of music for this record over a span of 12 years. Myself and John were doing our separate things, me with my solo venture and John with Ministry, and obviously Burton, with Fear Factory. But along the whole way, things were simmering, and Burton was demoing a few of these songs here and everywhere. So he comes up with the initial idea of a riff, and would bring it to John or eventually myself, and then we would explore it and develop it as we went along. But I mostly got involved right from the start with Ghost Heart, and The End Is Always the Beginning, which are ironically the two singles for the album. So I was involved right with those at the very beginning. All the rest of the stuff was done over 12 years.
Okay. It seems pretty cool that you're kind of walking into this project that he's already had done, but it seems like you've been given that equal opportunity to kind of have an opinion on the way that the directions of the songs are going. Like, were you able to make any changes with what you had, or?
Yeah, well, I've come in, as a producer and mixer. Obviously, I play drums on the record, but naturally, with our friendship, mine and Burton's friendship, for the first time evolving songwriters, composers, I think we just naturally had this very kind of succinct sort of camaraderie and writing skill, and it just grew organically, So me being a full-fledged member and also handling the business side of it all and all of that was something that needed to happen for the project, because I don't think it so much went stale, but it needed a serious kick up the arse. It needed something to really put it on the map, and that's when I came in.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. And quite an interesting time to be coming in such an uncertain world we're living in now. You know, really pushing this album hard and not being able to go out on tour. How are you guys handling this from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, well, and you know, sadly, I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen next. You know, with all the lockdowns, etc. But it is unfortunate for touring this project. You know that we're having to deal with COVID, but I think the actual tone of the album could have been suited better. You know, and we've landed on that by accident. I mean, a lot of people have referenced this album as being the sound of 2020. So, you know, it's unfortunate in one way, and it's sort of timed it perfect in another.
I could totally see that. Just actually getting into this album and listening to it, it really did kind of transcend you into a different thought process. And it was kind of like an emotional roller coaster because things felt very connected spiritually. And there were some really down parts where everything just kind of absorbed you. But then there was like an uplifting effect too. I would honestly have to say that Key to the Cosmos for me is like a perfect example of that.
Yeah, that's actually my other half, Jenna. That's her favorite song. Yeah, I mean, you know, again, you know, a lot of these songs took life in the mixing process. I really wanted to shut off to everything and just be me and my computer and my studio and really get these songs to flow and for one song to flow into another. Key to the Cosmos really benefited a lot from, you know, what we call filtering. You know, we filter the high end so that the drums really go on almost like they were underwater, and then it comes into the chorus and it explodes into this big chorus kind of thing, just making it travel better. You know, I mean, that's ultimately what I wanted to try and do with that song, and a lot of people have taken to that, so I'm really pleased with how it came out.
Absolutely. No, it came out crystal clear. It's interesting that you kind of had the producer end and the studio end of things. Ivan, JD, do you have like any questions as far as how it goes in the studio, what the equipment he uses or anything?
No, the question I had, you kind of just kind of hit upon with, you know, the way things are going right now. Like, how do you kind of promote something like that? But, yeah, studio wise, I couldn't say. I'm actually, I don't know. I got kind of curious if he's got any cool tales or anything about the recording process or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, my studio is attached to a very old manor house, 250-year-old manor house. It was sort of extended from an original home, which was built in the 1700s. So there's been a lot that's gone on the ground. So I have from time to time experienced a very kind of ghostly goings on, but nothing quite to the extent of what was captured when Burton and I were writing and producing this album, and to the point where we actually recorded a voice when Burton was in a vocal booth. He left the vocal booth, and by just complete accident and coincidence, we recorded this voice, which is speaking, which Burton seems to think is like a foreign language. I can't really tell what it is, but we captured it and we used it on the beginning intro for the song Apocrypha. So when you listen to that, that's a true recording, as it is, that was recorded at my place. You know.
It was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. When I read that, I went back and listened to it because I didn't pick it up the first time I was listening to the album. I was like, "Holy shit, this is like really uncomfortable." And to know that presence was with you guys, it's crazy.
Well, I can't tell you. I mean, it was. I think I probably turned white when I was playing it back because it was very late. It was very late. In fact, I think we were recording early in the hours of the morning. You know, I think probably about 1 or 2 a.m. and we were so tired. The actual voice recording was recorded on the track A Wolf Interlude, but I just stole it and put it on the beginning of Apocrypha just as a production thing, because I felt the song needed a bit of an intro. But it was terrifying. You know, I was like, what the hell is that saying? You know? Burton was just stood there and we were just looking at each other. And then, of course, I could EQ thing. So cut the noise down and EQ. And to me, it sounds as though it's saying, get out of here. That's what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Bird thinks it's saying something else, but whatever it's saying, it's there. And it's pretty insane.
Did you ever think about just leaving the mics on and just seeing if you can catch anything else?
I'm kind of worried in doing that, actually.
Yeah, especially if you think it says "get out." So
I kind of drew the line at "get out of here." I thought, right, I'm not recording anymore. But it was, yeah. I mean, that's not the first time I've had some pretty mad stuff happen up there. I've had things laid out all over the place and stuff, because the actual premises that the manor is built on. There's other buildings that predate the manor house. So there was a monastery there before the manor, and before the monastery was a castle. So it's even older again. God knows what's going on.
That's really
wow.
cool.
It's very, very old.
Have you guys ever had any investigators or anybody out to look into this, or?
No, not yet. I think I might after this. There's so many things that have gone on there. I mean, I've had some minimal activity going on. Well, when I've been doing other things, but when we were doing Apocrypha, man, it was another level. It was like I had a drum skin fly off a table and just hit the door, and the sound it made, because Burton was doing these art pieces on all these drum skins, and it just went and just hit the door. About a Laney amplifier that was clearly pushed off, and you can't get round the back of it. So came in there in the morning, and it was just hanging by the wires at the back. And it's such a weight to that kind of thing. Insane stuff.
It's not like the wind's gonna blow it over or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
It was clearly pulled off in some way, and it was damaged afterwards. It pulled wires out, and it was a real mess. But pretty wild.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. I could sit here and talk to you all day just on that subject. I don't want to be rude and focus on all the business side of things. When it comes to touring, let's say we're good, got a vaccine, levels are down, you guys are out touring again. As far as a tour structure, would you guys look more into smaller, intimate venues, or what is your, ideal touring setting for you guys and this album?
Well, we're being realistic about it. A lot of people have kind of hailed the project as a goth industrial supergroup because of all of our backgrounds. A lot of people in the metal industry will be very familiar with Burton and John. I mean, my stuff was a lot more sort of mainstream electronica, although inspired by alternative rock and metal anyway. But because of the three of us combined, I think it's taken it to a different direction. So we are definitely looking at the sort of 400 to 500 capacity venues and see how we do with that. Our agent and some of our promoters are very confident and are looking to push it bigger. But I think we just want to keep it realistic and keep it packed out. And God knows what COVID is going to entail for how we pack that out. It'll probably be metal barriers or something in between people. I don't know, but we're going to go for a good stage show and like a setup, a stage set that is something I'm looking into designing and all of that. So yeah, it's definitely going to be taken up a few notches from what it was.
That's excellent. It sounds super positive, and it sounds like that's something to keep you guys going and give us that hope, because I think all of us, at least from our side, as far as fans go, we're just waiting for that moment, for things to be announced, for things to actually happen. I know some cities are doing smaller shows and having 25% capacity, but it's just not the same.
No, it's not. And I know that there's some tours even being pushed back to 2022 now. We're in a very unprecedented time, and I don't think anybody knows quite what the right thing is to do. again, it just leaves us to be a little more creative. I mean, we have got a few things up our sleeve that are going to tie us over until we tour. But yeah, the ultimate aim for this is to make it as big a project as possible. I mean, obviously now Burton's left Fear Factory, so this is his main focus, and it's something I'm in full time now. So we're going to make it as big and as powerful and as exciting for everybody as possible, really.
Exactly, and not to really bring up the information on Fear Factory, because we know it's all out there, but it's kind of interesting how everything aligned timing wise with this now, and Burton is like full in 100%, and that's got to be some sort of a relief for all you guys to know, like, hey, all three of us are in this together, and we're giving everything that we've got.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, there's a lot of things out there now. I wasn't surprised that it was going to happen, and there was so much going on even during the recording of this album, that I feel that that made this album even more somber in some ways. And I think it was somewhat of a therapy for Burton, to be able to get out of something that he just was clearly not enjoying at all. Whatsoever, and I think a lot of that frustration and upset, realization, and all of that, I think a lot of that was poured into this record. In fact, I know it was. So I think it's a shame because one door closes in one era has come to an end, but it has given birth to a new door and a new beginning, and that's involving all of us. So. The future is very positive for it, I think.
That's excellent to hear, and that's what we take a lot of pride in our show, because we try not to focus on the negative and the big mainstream headlines and the quotes and stuff like that, because I think those are like cheap clicks, and us being all legitimate music fans, and we've played music to some capacity over the last, 10, 15 years together, and you just realize how much more important that true bond and positivity can go way more further than, oh, well, we're going to run this story that's going to get a ton of likes, but your credibility is not going to be there either.
Yeah, there's somebody's asking, they have a question. If they want to go ahead with that question, they can go ahead. If they're still watching.
Taco Maniac, yeah. In the comments, yeah. Feel free to ask your question, Taco. But yeah.
Please do. We got Jayce for the next 4 hours. He's not going anywhere.
It's a marathon.
2 days.
But yeah, you carry on. I'll let you guys know what they answer.
Okay. Yeah, please interrupt at any time. Jayce, do you have any Chicago memories that you can share? Because we're from the suburbs of Chicago.
Any what? Sorry?
Any memories of Chicago, Illinois? Have you played or been out in Chicago?
I've only been to Chicago once, and yeah, it was a sort of a connecting flight to LA. I was actually staying with a friend of mine, who's quite a well-known artist this way, called Gary Newman, and I was staying with him for 2 weeks, and I was getting a connecting flight, which because of the queue for the ESTA, the STA, I nearly sort of missed my connecting flight going to LA. But from what I could see from coming in, it looks like an amazing city as you fly in all the skyscrapers. But I've never played there. But I do know that something that we will be doing in the future, because of a Cold Waves Festival, which I know is in Chicago, and it's something that I played in LA, actually, in the Regent in downtown. So
okay,
yeah,
absolutely, lots of stuff to do out there, man. It used to the scene out here for music is just a hot mess of like pop music and mariachi music, rap music, metal, punk. Like it's a hot hodgepodge, which is basically what our area is anyway. So lots of good food too, man.
Oh, excellent! Well, I look forward to eating as much food there as possible.
It's definitely possible. It's a dangerous game. No other questions, Ivan?
No, it doesn't look like Taco is asked anything yet.
No,
So,
Taco is slacking. So you said Gary Newman. That's the gentleman that wrote Cars, right?
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
wrote
okay.
Cars.
Yes. Okay. I was like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, we've toured with each other twice. Me as a solo, because a lot of people were hailing me as the new Gary Newman when I sort of launched my solo career back in 2009. And Gary was one of the guys that kind of took me under his wing, which I was very lucky to have had. It's ironic, really, that two people in the music business that I'm particularly close to is Burton and Gary Newman. So the three of us are quite involved, in various ways with each other. But, yeah, Fear Factory did a good cover of that track.
yeah.
Did you ride in Gary Newman's car by chance?
I have ridden in his car quite a few times. He took me to the Safe Festival as well.
Okay. All right, just checking your credibility here, sir. That's all.
Yeah, you're in my car. You'll be safe as more. It's like, okay, it's a good one. It's a good one, Gavin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, we appreciate the time you spent with us. We're very, very much looking forward to seeing you guys out on the road when things are safe. We hope all you guys are safe out there, and we'll definitely still be listening to the album. We'll share all of your guys' info on our pages, and we wish you the best of luck, man.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. Look us up when you get in Chicago, for real.
I will do. Make sure you got plenty of food ready.
Oh,
We'll be
yeah.
ready, man. All right, thanks,
Okay,
man.
All right, man. See you again.
Take care.
All the best.
Bye-bye. That was awesome.
Well, you want me to end the stream?
Yeah, I guess.
Peace out, Taco.